Sort of, how did it start with you? What were the experiences that happened around your workspace from which you felt this was an organic thing that was happening and you had to articulate it in a certain way?
Yeah. So I think each of us is discovering ourselves and creating meaning. And as human beings, we are social, so we work we work together. And the very idea of an organization is creating spaces where people come together for a common purpose. So, and in that common purpose, people find their own meaning. My own experiences has been that as organizations grow larger in number, the stated purpose of the organization and the actual practices that happen and what people perceive in that work is not the same. So to me, Creatnet is an idea of a different type of organic organizational form, which is always discovering for itself what the purpose is. So to me, an organization is essentially a set of people who come together and have a common purpose. Yeah, and an organization is essentially, can it be more like an organism? Can it be more like nature? Everywhere around you, there is a lot of interdependence, but it's not like one huge tree will just keep on becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's a central thing, and then it will determine. I think it's clearly what we are seeing as organizations today, whether it's the government or large corporations. There's a huge amount of centralization. There's a huge amount of, if I may say so, control, and there's a huge amount of inequality that comes in because of that. So to me, Creatnet at its very core was people discovering themselves, creating meaning, creating purpose, and kind of, in a way, they're being, it's very human. It's part of being part of many things. There's not one part of you, there's different parts of you. So you create meaning in different ways. So it's almost like designing your own, you have different interests, so you're part of many groups, you're part of many communities, and you create that. So the central idea of Creatnet is that can we work? Can our work be like that? Can our work be like that? Can we be part of different things? I've been experimenting. My life has been more of an experiment on this myself. On this, it's been a lot of things that have not worked, and a lot of things that have worked. I've tried to take on things that have worked. So I always try to look for meaning in whatever I'm doing. Sometimes I feel that as I grow, hopefully I am growing, there's new sets of meaning that is required to be getting created. So I've been part of many organizations. So today, as I speak today, I'm part of at least 4 or 5 organizations, and I'm influencing 4 or 5 organizations. And interestingly, I'm finding that central to all this is a few things. Central to all this is this aspect that as human beings we always are, growth for us is connected with learning. Yeah. So for me, Creatnet is about learning. So for me, Creatnet is about taking initiative and leadership, taking responsibility. Yeah. So for me, Creatnet is this whole idea of seeing the interrelationships and working together. Yeah, it's also the idea of seeing whatever arises, whatever challenge arises, or what we perceive as challenges, as being opportunities, and being very entrepreneurial in addressing that. So for me, Creatnet means entrepreneurship. So as I see it, the idea of Creatnet is about, it's an organic, it's a kind of an organization, it's a network. Yeah, and essentially in this network people are coming together for common things. They are disbanding after they have done something and they're moving on to something. They're part of this, they're part of that, but they know, they sense that they are a part of a larger. They get this, they get this, they are in a flow. They are in a flow, they're peaceful with themselves. Where they require a certain resources, they know that they can tap in and do something. Their child wants to study something, they need more money, so they know they have got an access, they can create work. They want to fulfill themselves, they want to teach, they can do that. They want to create something, they want to take sabbatical, or not even sabbatical, while they are working, can they do that? Can we create that kind? And I think Creatnet is an idea like that. So it's not one large scalable organizations. Is it scalable? Yes, I'm interested in Creatnet scaling as an idea. Right? I'm looking at Creatnet, the idea of Creatnet scaling, not the name or the form of Creatnet or whatever. But I do see there will be some common characteristics, and I see that these common characteristics are going to be this idea of learning, the idea of working in small groups, creating meaning all the time, being very authentic, a lot of trust, yeah, common purpose, leadership, and entrepreneurship. And that's the idea of Creatnet.
What is your expectation of the people right now as you work with the idea and you see it growing? What is the kind of future that you look at?
I think that future's always happening. Like what are the future I see? I mean, it's a different way that I can answer it. For Creatnet?
Yeah.
The idea of Creatnet? Yeah. For the idea of Creatnet. Okay. So let me share what's happening now and what it appeared like a few years back. So the idea of Creatnet is manifesting itself in many, many different areas, and I see it manifesting itself in the area of education, the area of learning and education, and organizations connected with it. I see itself manifesting in a lot of entrepreneurial organizations that I'm involved with. I see it manifesting in the fashion supply chain that I'm part of, the fashion company that I'm involved with. I see it manifesting in different forms. So let me articulate it in different forms. So as I see it, we started about I'll take one example in how it's manifesting in education. So imagine a small group of people coming together, 10 government school principals, and me facilitating that whole idea, and working on the learning of on leadership learning. So it's a small group of 10 people, starting about 3 years back, and creating meaning and learning from each other and creating meaning in school. Now imagine that each of those people in that group were influencing, in their schools 40 teachers, and each school had 2,000 children. So you can imagine that the idea, just with 10 people, manifests itself in so many ways. So the idea of Creatnet, the same set of 10 people, 6 of them have started facilitating a group of 10 more principals. So today the idea of Creatnet, in the idea of Creatnet Education, it's the idea of group learning. And in the next 5 years, I see 1,000 such principals learning in groups. I see, this work having reached 40,000 teachers in the state of Delhi, learning in groups. So the idea of Creatnet in education manifesting itself in that kind of a form. Is this one organization? What kind of an organization is this? I don't know. The people in this organization are working in the government. They are running not for profits. They are running for profits, and they are working together. That's how it's manifesting in education. I see it manifesting in, entrepreneurs. For the last couple of years, I've been facilitating about 10 entrepreneurs every year. So I see this manifesting there. So this whole idea of leadership, learning, entrepreneurship, it's manifesting in that manner. And in particular, I'd like to share about 2 organizations that I'm whom I'm involved with in coaching. Great entrepreneurs. One is a company run by this entrepreneur called Rahul. The other one is Hari, Think Design. Imagine an organization which is stuck at the same place for maybe 3-4 years, and then Srijan, for example, the idea is that how do you bring democracy to a workplace? So now he designed this organization and we looked at it together in small teams. And today that organization has grown 3 times in the last 2 years. So the whole idea of Creatnet, it may not be called Creatnet, it's called Srijan. Yeah. So this whole idea of working in small groups is manifesting it in this, really hot IT company called Srijan. In the same way, I see this very interesting user experience design company called Think Design. Again, the same story. People, the entrepreneur themselves feeling stifled, and then they kind of discover, they learn, they look at their own leadership, and then they look at this transformation happening within them in their leadership teams. Again, they have organized their company as small teams and groups, and again it's grown, it's doubled itself in the last 1 year. What's changed? What's changed is an idea, a manifesting of an idea.
And
So
you're happy that that idea is not is getting manifested in a Srijan or a Think Design, and you're in a way quite interestingly distant, yet you have the ownership of that idea in many ways, but you're also quite distant with it. And
Yes,
I
of
like
course.
the way you let go of it, that in Srijan it becomes Srijan.
Yes.
Creatnet, the idea becomes Srijan.
It is not important. The name is not important. In fact, the form is also not important, whether it's IT or fashion or this or education or that. That's why I'm giving you. Whether it's government or this, it does not really matter. But I think organizations have to clearly create more meaning for people working within them. So I think that's the idea of it's actually being more human. Yeah. It's about actually being more responsible of learning and growth and entrepreneurship. That's the idea of creating.
Good, I think we got a great
Yeah?
yeah. Sure.
ठीक है?